Hello everyone, my name is Walter Schumann. Well, today I would like to do a short presentation of what I do when I practice and what are my exercises. So I hope I can see more people today. Meanwhile, I just want to explain that first, I don't use a shoulder rest, the regular shoulder rest. Most of the violinists use a shoulder rest on Kuhn, on different companies, which are in a sense helpful to people, but in a sense to me they are actually developing bad and wrong habits. A violinist should use more like pads or underneath the violin or underneath their cloths, like more likely undershirt, close to the collar part where people. Hello, Marian Violin 9. Thanks for joining today. I decided to make a small video chat, live chat, to where I can show what I do for warm-ups. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. So first of all, this is my violin, and I was talking about the shoulder rest. I don't use a regular shoulder rest. Most of people seems to like shoulder rest as they feel more comfortable, more secure. Also, it feels like more adjustable for the structure, for neck, for body. But not me. I started when I was a little child, 5, 6, at age of 5 or 6. So my teacher started me with so-called pads. So the little pads or little sponges, and then I move on to shoulder rest. But eventually I went back. I got back to the regular pads. So if you would like to adjust very well your pad and be invisible, just put it underneath your collar or shirt, or if you don't have anyone, you just use it the way you can apply it with an elastic band and put it on the back side of your violin to this part where you can have this pad. Then you can readjust based on your neck or chin. So I usually keep the violin this way. Many of the world leading violinists, they keep their violins close so they can see. So can you see what I do? So practically the chin rest is on a side. I put my real chin underneath the center of my chin rest, somewhere close by here. See? That gives me a stability. Also, I would suggest when you have violin, when you play your violin, do not put your violin on the side, like outside of your visual connection. So the violin should be close here, this way instead, more like on a small angle to where you can have close touch with your visual connection. This also helps your left hand to not be a strain too straight off. Make sure that your tail, hello, Miss Raven, how are you today? I'm talking about positioning. Sometimes positioning is very important. what I have noticed as a professional, that many violinists, viola players, as I'm both viola and violin player, and I've seen that they are leaning down like this, or they put it too much up here like this, up here, and like that's not even according to any physical law. Violin playing should be natural, as my teacher would say. So if something is out of the natural course of playing that makes things unnatural, they should be avoided. So what I mean by that is the violin should be very close. I use the pad, as I said, put it underneath, and I just bring the violin a little leaning toward this way instead of leaning toward this way. Lots of violinists are playing when their instruments are almost flat, plain flat. That is terrible. We don't do that. The violin should be raised on this. You see the curve of your shoulder part and forearm here on this part over the colon bone. So your violin should take the line of this. Instead of being this flat, it should be leaning toward you. Why? It's based on the fingers. The hand will fall correctly on their spots this way. The third thing, what I'm suggesting is when you play, do not play on the left corner of your chin rest. Many of the musicians, they play here. Like you see, my chin practically goes on the left side of the instrument. Now, and someone will say, oh, well, this is an old school. But the old school musicians have a long career. And if you hear one of the, the old school musicians like Milstein, like Leopold Auer, David Oyster, they have played until a very, very, very long age of exactly. The bow should be horizontal on the G string and vertical on the E string. That's a very good point. But sometimes we should be very careful how the point of a stroke of a bow will be handled. Because if it's too vertical, they can touch the corner of your violin or to touch their own body. And many times I have seen musicians, they are so vertical like this that practically hit the body, close to the F holes. And I've seen this with my own eyes. So practically when you put the violin, it should go through the line of your shoulder and leaning toward down, like on a diagonal instead of flat, or instead this way, or hanging this way. Never. So the third point is that the chin should never point onto the left side of the instrument like this. Many of the musicians goes this way. That's very wrong. And the instrument is unstable, and they need to constantly move it up and back. Have you seen that? That's correct, Merit. So when we push the violin up, and practically, do you see the pinpoint here? Hello, mate Tejada. So can you see the pinpoint here? This pinpoint should be pointing right here to this point, to your throat hole, like here. Can you see it from inside? So my chin goes over this way, and there is a very slight angle to which I have a direct eye contact with my fingers and my string. So I will demonstrate what the sound looks like when it is. So I will demonstrate what is the sound on G string when you are improperly holding or positioned, when your instrument is improperly positioned on your body. Let's just say that you hold your violin here, as Mania does, and the violin is like this, right? And you see what's happening. The bow strings go down. Have you seen people going this way? That's why. It's only one thing. It's not a bow technique issue. It's a positioning issue. So the sound become empty, a little with like a husky, with lots of noise. Like there is not good joint and good, like very good stroke over the sound. Now let's just go when the violin is way up here. We have this violin players, they think that they're so great that they're looking the skies and the top of their violin probably touches the clouds. Well, they think also that the sound is beautiful, but unfortunately that's not very much true. So when we have this, we have the sliding, reversible sliding, and the sound become like muted. Can you see what is happening? Now let's go when the old school teachers like mine, will tell you what to do. You take this point to point toward this left part of your body, toward your throat, and keep the violin. Why? Now it's steady. You have the ability to keep your violin with your shoulder as a level. This way you level up your violin. Then you apply the bow. Can you see the difference? So that's the one thing that I wanted to talk. Second, it's about the bow holding. Lots of the musician that is very much possible, but let's not forget that Mr. Menuhin was in sort of way eccentric, and you may probably see him conducting orchestra sitting on his head, and he conducts the orchestra with his feet. So I do understand Mr. Menuhin, but I will stick more to the irregular principles and the natural course of how to play violin. Yes, this is a system, the French system, let's just say the Franco-Belgium system, sometimes require their violins to be holded up. But this is made with a purpose to express a different sound. For instance, when you move your violin like up and down, it's based on how you consistently control the pressure over the bow, since we know that the top of the bow is less heavy as it is on the bottom part. So we move our violin up. So like this. So you help yourself through pushing up the violin. So you see the angle between the bridge that goes right the way down. So when the bow becomes lighter, the sound changes as well. Yes, sometimes we do that as a musician. We lift it up, the instrument, to have more sound. But what I would suggest, and when you buy a bow, recently I needed to buy 2 bows for myself. And there is this trick, how to test if a bow is good. And I will show you. Let me put my instruments on the side. So this is my bow. And I bought this recently. It's a handmade bow by a special master. And it's a very nice Brazilian wood. When you look for a bow, make sure the curve it's pretty distinct here. You know, it's not too flat, and it's straight. When you look this way, it should be straight, very straight, like a straight line. You see. But what is most important? Many great violinists have quite unusual ways of playing, but they know that they're doing. Yes, different bodies require different postures. That's very accurate, Miss Raven. But Mr. Raven. But different postures require different solutions. That's also accurate for bodies. But only if you know exactly what you are doing, you can start customizing. That's also accurate. So here, what I'm trying to present is a school or methodical way that have surpassed probably 200-300 years now. Even we, our days, are following up with these principles in violin playing. So that's what I'm talking. We're not talking when people are short or taller like I am. I'm almost 6 feet tall. And I hold the violin a little bit more freely. But at the same time, I have coworkers and friends, they are 5 feet tall or 5'2" or 5'5", and they're pretty short, and their hands are also short. So when we have that, I will explain exactly what I do with trying to show shifting. When we do shifting, what is the easiest way according to Yasha Hafiz, not only to Yasha Hafiz, but his teachers and my teachers who are the same school practically. But before that, allow me to show how to look for a better bow. So sometimes the price can range between $200 and $5,000 for a good bow. What makes a good bow? A good bow makes it first the material, the quality of the wood. Second, the way it's being made, which means balance, weight, and heaviness. So I usually take my finger. I'm gonna come this way so you can see what I do. So between my first knuckle and the second here, right here, where there is a little, like a little curve, it's my first testing. So when the bow falls, it should fall only one time. You see? It did not bounce. So on my third part here, the bow should bounce only once, which is mean when it falls, will fall one more time, like 2 times. You see? Tam pam, pam pam. And when I put the bow here, it should bounce 3 times. You see? That is something. Thank you. You have a wonderful one. Hope to see you soon, though. Have a good one, man. So this practically tells you how heavy is the top part. Also, when you look for a bow, when you bounce twice or once, it should not bounce on a side. It should bounce straight. 1, 2. Straight. 1, 2. Not 1, 2 here. It should be at the same point. You see? Like what I do. It stays at the same point. And then completely like it on the very top, it should literally stop like it's being glued up for your finger. That's something that's very interesting. You see? And I don't put any pressure. is just released. Punk, you see? Just release. You don't put any pressure. That shows you how balanced and how good springing your bow is. If it does that, like here should be 1, 2 times, 3 times. 1, 2, perfect, 3. And it stays at the same point. You know, when it falls, it stays on the same point. It touches the same point. That it means that your bow will not bounce over the fingerboard, and you will be able to control the bow very well. The second part, your bow, when you look for your bow, lots of people have asked, where is exactly the perfect balance, the golden balance point where a bow should have? And I always says, because I myself am a professional luthier, music instrument maker, not only musician and conductor. So I always says, it should be the 2/3 of the bow. We start from the very top and we have 1/3. Then we have 2/3, right? And here, somewhere here, will be the perfect balance. And this is the third part, right? So here, where I hold the bow, this is the 2/3, I have to put, it should be like okay, so a little, just a finger more. Yeah, exactly here. Here. So when you have that, you count 1 from the point where you start playing here, from the point here, 1, 2, and it should be between 1 finger distance, somewhere here. So I will keep this, I will put my finger here, and if it's too much, I will put it in here. Just probably, yeah. Yes. That's the perfect point. Which means that you will not experience strengthening or problems with fast music places, hopping places, staccato, spiccato, and it's a very well balanced bow. What makes a bow very good is its balance. How heavy it is, its balance. And if the top part is staying like glued up in the very beginning without any pressure, it means this top is heavy enough to maintain a good melodical phrase. So this is a good tips and hints how to find a better bow. Sometimes you can find a bow that is less expensive, but at the same time the quality is better than someone that is just a good brand but is not good as a material or have no good balance. The left elbow. Yes, I was about to say about the hands. I will take my violin now. So here's my violin. Mr. Raven asked about the customizing and moment, but the customizing moment has always one very important principle, is that you should follow the principles, but you can change it based on your availability. So it's like whatever you do in music, you follow the principle of a structure, of a melody, of harmony, of counterpoint, and you create music based on that. Then you improvise, but improvise does not mean to change the rules. It's mean to put something over these rules. So that's very interesting. So when lots of musicians, they take and do the shifting, as I said, I promised to talk about the shifting. They start moving their elbow like this. They twist, they make a twist movement. That's could be done when the hand or the person is a little shorter. Because people like me, taller, they just go easy on here. They don't twist too much. Someone will ask, what is the principle of shifting? And the principle of shifting is when the hand does not twist much, but it goes this way. So if we have this curve here, how would we go up? So we definitely will go this way up instead of twisting the hand this way, right? That's the natural course. The natural course of lifting the hand is this way, not this way. That's why I would suggest, as much as a person can, keep the natural course. True, what I do is just I go this way. Why? The freedom of your fingers are more easy to reach the top when they are straight forward. It's a physical muscle relief and release, you see? But when you twist your hand, you shorten the distance, but the distance is here, and you have to stretch. When you stretch, look at how tension my hand looks. Then when I do it normally, naturally, I just go this way. Do you see how far I can go? That's the natural course. That's why all of my teachers, even the student was a little shorter with a small hands, short hands, fingers, they will suggest and ask them, do getting your hand back to this way instead of twisting it. And many of the musicians played the same way. When I move my elbow to the right to be able to play easily on the G string, I have real pain on left upper arm. What do you think should be done? So the elbow, I'm going to talk over the elbow. The elbow is practically level. It's like a fin and a fish has, you know. So, your elbow is like a level rope that makes your finger stable. So what I do, if I go to E, my elbow will point somewhere between A and E. Then I go over D. And then, you see, I just move very slightly. I don't go this way. In no any circumstances, a violinist should twist its own hand to the position where its own elbow takes the course and changes the distance between the finger and the position. That's very, sometimes lots of musicians, they just think that they will reach better if they just go this way. The moment you twist your hand, you become out of tone, out of tune. Now I'll move my hand so it can be really relaxed, and my elbow, the pointing part here, will point somewhere between A and E. So this is the position for my hand to go normally on G. You will see the sound. You can realize how important the elbow is. It's like a fan. It moves based on what string you are at. So when we move our bow to the angle for, to the angle for G, then, and you see like, right? It's something the same with the left elbow. As much as we go to G string, we keep the elbow, as much as we go to the higher upper strings like A and E, our elbow kind of move on the side of G, the line of G. It should line up. You see, the point of my elbow, practically when you put one straight line, will point where? It will point G string. It's actually visible on the camera. That's the best, you know. And the moment I go to G, I am setting up my elbow pointing E and A. So that's how, hello Francesco Riccardi. So that's what I would suggest people do. Also, when you do transitioning, as I said, always go this way, not this way. It's wrong. It's actually wrong. There are moments and there are musical pieces that are, hello Francesco, there are moments or musical piece, concerts or some kind of fancy contemporary music stuff that you should do it. I mean, because there are no any other ways to do. But it's going to be only customized, only custom to the certain concert or melodical piece, not in general. Yes, should not be moved too far to the right. That's accurate. So the elbow practically moves from the point of G, straight down line, you know, to the point of E string, straight down as a line. And moves only this particular way. That's all. Like, I am on G now, so what it sees? It sees that my elbow points string E. When I go to E, my elbow points G. Sometimes a little farther or inside, but it's practically the same way. Hey, Jackie. That actually will make and maintain a better, a technique, also a natural fall of your fingers. Whenever you have problem, check with fifths. And so I will give you an example. Let's just say we have fifths, A and E, on G string and D string. Now they're correct. Now, I will not move my finger at all. It's going to be screwed, literally. And I will move only my elbow. You should see the difference in the intonation aspect. Can you hear what is happening? So practically your elbow is the one that defines how clean tone you'll have. What is your intonation? So I have to set up my elbow in the position to where the perfect fifth interval is clean. Here. And if you see my elbow, it shows point right between A and E string. That's the accurate position for your finger. That's what will make your intonation clean. Sometimes you listen to people and say, why is this person play like too high a little bit or too low? Like you have the feeling the tone is not actually correct, but it's somewhere there. It is because of their elbow. I will give you another. Let's just say, take this very famous, melody. So, what do we see? Oh, it's a beautiful music. It's a very nice tone. That's correct. It's nice. But what was something that I put and changed? It was E string position. One of my tones wasn't exactly accurate. This tone, D. Why? Because I kept my elbow inside instead of being into the right position. So let's do this trick again. Can you see the difference? So my hand, elbow should face, when I'm an A, it should face somewhere at D. It's accurate. I have to move a little bit. That's the accurate tone. Lots of people, they just go here. This way. You see, I just don't move my finger. I just keeping it there. The only one thing that I move is my elbow. It's almost a half tone, a half step up and down. I can go with this. So if I move it correctly, it's going to be in the octave. That's the accurate D. So I'm going to, so I need to move my hand. Why? I have to do check. Is it accurate? Yes. Let me put the fifth. It's accurate. So my elbow is at the right position. And there's and 4 and 4 and 4. Also, when you do practice warm-ups, always start with irregular scales. Like I would suggest, the scales that are G and most of all the triads, like the chords. And go up to it, and then when you reach C, from that point, don't go back, just continue. And you may end up at A. Yep, that's what you can end up. And then this is a very good warm-up. Always do the scales in a way that you can imply major with minors. For instance, that's something you can do. And those are, you see, at least 5 different types of G, major and minor. This way you can develop muscle memory. Hey Carl, Kari or Carl? I can't see. Well, oh, it's Carl. Yeah. So, anything, guys, you may ask, please feel free to ask me. I would love to answer as much as I can with my personal experience and practice. So never forget to work no more than 3 hours, 3.5 a day, but work properly. Do not extend your practices. They can cause you some pain or muscle injuries. The positioning and correct holding the violin and bowing, as well as practicing, is crucial for a long life career and also for the health of your muscles and body. Can I talk about staccato? Staccato can be divided in different, at least 3 main types of staccato. So you have to particularly talk which one, but I will talk over the staccato, the raw staccato, which is the hopping one, the other one, which is reversible probably, and the tenuto and spiccato staccato. Those that are caused by the natural bouncing. So staccato is when you have a very strong touch with your bow and grip on the string. You have to find the perfect point where staccato will be performed based on the natural bouncing. Then you can apply pressure with your index and your middle part of the hand. Lots of people are thinking that the only one way you can do staccato is when you pinch with your index part, but that's actually not very much true. The leading part in the bow is not the index. The leading part of the bow, or the bow technique, it's actually the middle finger and the thumb when they create a ring of ellipses and they hold the bow. So this is the leading part. The others are the ones that create different phrasing. So you would ask probably, how do we know that? This is a system that comes from the time of Camillo Shivori. I hope everyone knows who is Camillo Shivori. Camillo Shivori is the only one known student to Niccolo Paganini. So the real bow hold, it's been contained probably mainly from the middle part here, and the rest are supporting, leading, and phrasing. So when we do that, we found the point that is the best bounce. For here, for instance, just we let the bow and try to find so it's somewhere between here and here. Then we apply a heaviness from the center part of the palm and the pointing index finger. You see what happens? That's what you need. That's not ricochet. Ricochet is a different type of playing, but this is exactly the staccato that you're looking for. So I made a little bit exaggerations so people can see what the process is. Any other questions? I will create specifically a video for staccato. The other staccato is the so-called spiccato staccato, which it comes with holding of the sound. You see? And that's different. How can we stretch the distance between the third and fourth finger without hurting ourselves? You mean if I'm here, I want to go from first position, but to take a tone that is on third position without moving my hand, or What exactly the question? What is the specific? I can understand completely the question. You'd like to stretch the finger, or you'd like to diminish the distance between the third and fourth finger without hurting ourselves? It's a stretching distance, depends how. Okay, without hurting. So I would suggest when you do that to release the rest of your finger. Use your thumb. For that reason, your thumb will help you. Have you seen, guys, that many of the musicians play their violin this way, the thumb down here, right? Also, they play here. They keep their thumb lower, you know. And also, you see violinists that they play this way, also, right? So that's actually very inaccurate holding. Releasing the thumb will provide you with the necessity of distance. What I mean, let's just say that we go from here. What do I do now? You see, I want to go from third to the first position. So I use my thumb. I exaggerate the move, but I use my thumb to provide what? Distance. If I hold my thumb right here, it will never happen. And even I decide to stretch, it will be really painful. So for that reason, I suggest that your thumb should face this black line. This black line, can you see this black line? So your knuckle, this line of your finger, should be somewhere there. You see? That's somewhere there. Also, the position of my finger is not here, is not below, but it's somewhere between the middle and the ring, here and here. It goes always between these two, index, middle, and ring. So my finger is somewhere here from time to time, or here from time to time. This releases the pressure of movement to the first three fingers. So, what I want to say is that if you have to stretch your finger, we are here, but we want to have, you see what I did? I did this. Why? Why? Because release the pressure here. You probably have pain somewhere around this part or in your wrist when you stretch your pinky. So what will help you will be actually exactly your thumb. And I want to go to C. What do? You know? Instead of trying to fall with your finger above, fall from a side. This is the first thing. And the second, release your thumb. My rest of the hand is on the first position. You see, it's like you would like to move to another position and prepare your hand and your thumb, release your thumb and like lead the hand toward that position. But instead you just keep the rest and put your pinky. And it's really actually not stressful. I don't feel any stress, any pain. You mean this position or when we move with our thumb? So this is a regular position, a common position for the thumb. It should always be this way. You can see how it is. It should always be this way. Not this way, not this way underneath, not this way, not this way. No, it should always be very free and going this way, this way. The moment you would decide to move, it's your thumb that leads you to the next position, and then the position between the second and third finger. What do you mean the position between the second and third finger? Yeah, it could be here, somewhere here, or here. Depends. That's the common, regular position should be for your thumb. When you decide to move, then you move your finger. You see? Yeah. Some of the musicians, when they go high, you know, and they leave their thumb out, and they come like this. Well, if a person has have short hands, well, fine, okay. That will be not so bad as long as it catches up. But the thumb is the one that gives you stability, sturdiness. It gives you like you are grounded very well with both of your feet on the ground, or you're just hanging on something and you're trying to keep a balance. You see the difference? So that's what the thumb in your left hand does. It gives you stability. So I would not suggest the musician who can reach all the way up. You see, I reach this way up instead of this way. You know, I have also the ability to keep my thumb here, and I can come all the way here. You see, with not even any stretches. That's what a correct position should do. So the correct posture, the correct positioning, and the correct holding of your violin, either your violin or bow, will give you what? Will benefit, will contribute to your playing, not other way around. Otherwise, you're going to end up with pain. Not only lots of musicians, they eventually stop having a violin career, because they develop tendinitis, muscle injuries, problems, issues, nerve sickness, which causes excruciating pain, and they just give up and they stop having musical careers. For that reason, I would suggest people to look back to what the principles are, to start implement them, work on them, and to find the best natural course of working violin technique. That's what I would suggest. Do we have any other questions? Let me see. Mr. Maid Tejada, are you still there? Well, Mr. Maid Tejada didn't give us any specific on his question. Can you talk about staccato? Well, I tried to show something, and I hope he had a chance to see what I had to say. Well, if it's this for today, I wish... Oh, yes. Did you have a chance to... did I answer your question? Because I showed a few expressions about staccato and hope that that will be helpful to you. The staccato is combination between the natural bouncing of the bow and work with your hand. So I think you had a chance to see this shortcut exercise that I did. Oh, thank you, Mary. That's very, very kind of you. So I wish every one of you a great day ahead of you, and hope to see you next time. I will start doing more regular live videos, and please get up on. It was really, would you tell me, Mr. Tejada, are you a violinist? And what would you like to know more? And please, guys, feel free to check up on my account, as well as feel free to ask any questions. I would love to answer as far as my professional abilities and experience can, present or have to show and to share with you. So anything else for today? Okay, in this case, I wish every one of you a great day ahead of you, and hope to see you next time. And please prepare more questions. I would love to answer them. And guys, you have a good one. Bye now.